Hey,
Hello.
am I upside down?
No, you're on the flip side. But that's
I think we can fix it somehow. I don't know. I don't really know how, but fuck.
yeah,
This hanger that I got does not work like that. Okay.
yeah. I actually had myself one of these, but uh, I no, no, just no.
I have to rearrange this a little bit. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Um, I can start by it's probably good anyway because we will allow people to join in. I will also try to keep an eye on the chat uh, this time because usually I suck at doing that. So I'm gonna try to do this, do it better this time. Uh, but hey, no one's perfect. So is your. There you go.
Yeah, my Bluetooth got disconnected for some odd reason.
Yeah.
So now
Remember
I'm
how I
here.
remember how I told you like the risk of something going wrong was very small. And you actually told me about how you embarrassed yourself a little bit. Care to share it? Uh,
Yeah,
from
yeah,
last-
yeah, yeah. With Herman, yeah, or Herman Lee, yeah. We were sitting in the sofa one day, me and my wife, and I was fiddling around on the phone. I was watching him, and all of a sudden, I was in his live stream. I pressed some button or whatever. That was weird. Me in my underwear, but yeah.
yeah, not today. We are fully dressed and ready to talk a bit about singing.
Yeah, you know a bit about that. I know. But I mean, like you know everything about singing. I just sound. I know nothing about singing, to be honest.
We're making noise and try to amuse people by doing it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, here we
exactly.
see. Hey, we got people from Norrköping and from
Yeah,
Germany.
I know that guy. Hey, Liam.
And we got some Norwegian people. Bernt Fjellstad, amazing
Ja, det
singer.
var, det var deilig, det. Det var rolig. Og det var koselig å se så mange norske mennesker.
Ja, veldig godt. Kona mi kommer fra Norge, så jeg snakker litt norsk, men ikke så veldig.
I just finished watching the Ragnarök.
Ah, yeah,
Fantastic series.
yeah.
You haven't seen it, I guess.
No, I haven't seen it. I've just heard about it.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and it is a show in modern time, but some of the people in this Norwegian city get transformed into like Thor and Odin and whatever. Really weird. I never thought that it would work when my wife wanted to look at it, but we were like bench watching it for. I think we finished it in like 2-3 days.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's
I've
why my
been
Norwegian is so good now.
not from hanging out with Dimo Borgir or.
Yeah, I never spoke Norwegian with those guys. They're pretty good at understanding Swedish. I was so young back then. I was like 26, 27 when I worked with them. But I got an understanding from Norwegian from the Dimmer Borger guys, I guess, hanging around with those guys.
Yeah. And most often they are better at understanding Swedish than we are because they grew up, at least according to my wife, they grew up like watching all the Astrid Lindgren, all the Swedish comics and books and all of that. So they watch those movies and hear Swedish all the time. But I don't know about you. We're kind of the same age. You're a little bit older than me. But do you remember like when the I just had to say it. I just had to say it. The Disney Klubben.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah, and that was kind of because sometimes when you watch Turtles or Donald Duck, it would be in Norwegian and sometimes in Danish and sometimes in Swedish.
Yeah, I remember that.
Especially when you were taping like the Turtles episodes and you got it in Danish, it was like, no.
Yeah, one thing that is so funny, like when we're not talking about anything about singing, but I've been living in Denmark for so many years. If you combine all the times that I've been there recording albums, and it's so fun if you go into like a Rema 1000, which is like our Lidl kind of store, and and you go in there and you ask them, we're like, "Vart är ketchupen?" Like, where's the ketchup? And they look at you like you're from another planet. Like they don't understand any word you say. And then you say, where is ketchup? yeah, it's over here. Not talking bad about Danish people in any way, but it's so fun because in basic it's the same language. It just sounds different. It has so much to do with the pronunciations. But I always think that it's so funny.
You visit here because you've been at Sweden Rock Festival, but I live like 9 kilometers away from the festival. So this area has been Danish longer than Swedish if you watch it historically over time. So it's been Swedish now for like 200 years or whatever, but historically it's been Danish a lot longer. But other than you being just a little bit older than me, we have some other things in common that I found out.
I'm 20. I'm 27, so you must be like 25.
Yeah, like that. I actually have to think nowadays when people ask me how old I am. It's easier if they ask what year I'm born, because that I always remember. If they ask how old I am, I have to think like, wait, anyways, other than being relatively young, born in the early mid-'80s, you started your musical career playing an amazing instrument, the trumpet.
Yes. Is that amazing? I don't know. I don't really know if it is.
It is, because both you, me, and another great Swedish singer named Joey Tempest did the same thing.
Ah, okay, yeah. Yeah, Joey was one of my childhood heroes, absolutely. But I started with the trumpet. For some reason, I wanted to play guitar, obviously, and drums and whatever, but I think trumpet was on the fifth instrument on my list when you like sent it into the musical school, because we have it free here in Sweden, as you know. And I don't even know if I knew what a trumpet was back then. I just I wrote something because I was certain that I'm going to play guitar. But so I played that for 7 years, from when I was 7 till I was 14. And I remember it was boring as fuck.
I had almost the exact same experience. But for me, it was, you weren't allowed to choose like guitar or anything the first year. You had to have another instrument. So like trumpet was the only, there was an evening where you got to try all the instruments. And trumpet was kind of the only instrument that I had, that I was able to produce a sound in. So that's why I played it for 10 years. I thought we had a lot of German people here too, and there was someone they asked if we were speaking German. And ich spreche ein bisschen, aber nicht so viel. Ich verstehe ganz gut, aber spreche nicht so gut.
Ja. Mein Name und Jake. Ich fand ein Kartoffel gefunden.
Schmeckt sehr gut. Du bist ein Motorrad. Ich habe ein Gesetz in mein Auto.
Nein. Mein Bicycle gepunkt. I understand Dutch or German, but I can't speak it for shit.
Yeah, I would. It was a funny thing about German. Now we're not talking a lot about singing, but we'll get to that. But your roommate, Alex, first time I met him was during the tour, and it was when he was playing with Turilli, Luca Turilli's Rhapsody. And, I had no clue who anyone was. So I was just, talking with everyone, and I just assumed that they were all Italian. And he was the only
Hey
one.
Rob, how you doing?
And then we were in Germany. And then I heard him, like, because he was talking without an accent in his English. He spoke very good English. And I heard him talk with some of the German dudes, and he spoke German very well. So I was like, hey, why do you speak German that good? And he's like, well, I am German. That was like our, hello, who are you? My name is David. Ah, okay.
Yeah. But he is such a fantastic guy in general. I mean, like, he's the kindest guy that you could ever meet. Like, there's nothing that is bad, like, evil with him. Like,
No.
all other people that you have something that you disagree with, or that irritates you or whatever. But Alex is just like a God's child, so to say.
Yeah, and it was like, during
And he
that
can play drums too.
Yeah. So I've heard.
He's like the best drummer ever. But I decide here to talk about his personality more than I talk about like his drumming.
Some people like his drumming. I mostly enjoy his Yngwie Malmsteen impersonations.
That and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes. But we both mentioned Joey Tempest.
Yes.
Because that's something I always ask about was like childhood vocal heroes.
Yeah, mine was Michael Kiske. Like that was the only singer that I like really praised when I was a kid. I'm not religious for shit, but if we should compare it with anything, that would be my God when I woke up. Him and Kai Hansen, I guess.
Yeah.
But then when I grew older, Joey was a big inspiration as well.
Yeah, for me, Joey was the one I adored and almost worshipped as a kid. So, but for me, it was like with Halloween. The weird thing was because I discovered Blind Guardian before Halloween, and on I think it's on Imaginations from the Other Side. Kai Hansen does some guest vocals.
Okay.
On like Alter 4, and it sounds like shit. To me, it did. You had a powerful Hansi. He sounds like he's standing on a mountain and singing, and then you get, and I was like, what's this? He ruins the song. And then I read it. Okay, he's the singer in Halloween. So I never listened to Halloween because of that. So, because you would see the album in the CD store.
Yeah.
Like, that's that dude who ruined the Blind Guardian album. So I missed out. But yeah, I eventually woke up later. But little Jake listening to Kai Hansen and Kiske. Did you sing along as a kid, or was it just like? Was there did you have a will and a desire to like do the same thing, or was it just plain worship?
No. First of all, hello Patrick from Chile. When I started to listen to Halloween, I was 4 years old, so I don't think that I sang along much. But when I started singing when I was like 15 or 16 years old, that was I put the bar very, very high when I started to sing. So I knew exactly like, okay, this is the guy that I want to sing like. So how do I do that? I never started with like anything I never went to any professional guy like you are, any teacher or whatever. I instead stood in a rehearsal room for 8 hours a day with, I had Halloween, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Europe, and I was just like trying to figure out how the fuck does this work? How do they do it? Like, because in here where I'm standing, it sounds like shit. So what am I doing wrong? So I could obviously have saved like 3 or 4 years by going to some professional that would have taught me to sing. But instead I was, completely, like I'm going to do this myself.
Yeah, trial and error.
Yeah.
But I mean, in some way, I don't know about you, but you were also probably playing in an orchestra when you played the trumpet and stuff like that.
Yes, I did. I'm just gonna try to connect my charger here. I'm sorry. So, yes.
Yeah, no worries. So, hello from Lanzarote. Yeah.
Oh, hey Conrado. Hey Conrado, how you doing? How you doing? Conrado is an old friend of mine. He's from the sunny side of the world.
Yeah, that we all long for at the moment. But yeah, but my theory is that, when the ears are a big part of singing.
Yes.
That you need to be able to hear and listen and hear the difference between different pitches and stuff. And I believe that, those like 20, 30 minutes of trumpet lessons and then the orchestra, like even if you weren't aware of it, we were training our ears and our musicality.
Of course. Let me put it like this. So, when I started to play the trumpet, I was also forced to learn to read music, right?
Yeah.
But I've always had a really hard time understanding what, not nowadays, but when I was a kid, I was like completely, hyper as a kid. Like I never read books. I could not sit still. And it was the same thing, like trying to understand those fucking black dots. Yeah. So what I did instead, I was just listening to my teacher, and then I played it by ear. So I did that really, really early in my trumpet career. So I never ever used the sheet music. So you're completely right on that, and I think that I probably had it like the almost perfect pitch hearing thing, born with it, but I think that it was a great practice to do the trumpet thing.
Because you kind of connect your listening to something that you are producing. Yes. And whether you're producing it on a guitar or a trumpet or with your voice, and then when you play something and it sounds wrong, then you get, oh, that was wrong. And you get an understanding, like, okay, and then you correct it. Like you do it in another way, and okay, that was correct. And that's how you do it with vocals too.
Exactly.
You have something in your mind, like I want to sing this note. You have to like have the imagination of imagining a note, like, and then
But that is probably how it works. But I've never done that when I've been singing. I've never been like trying to get the note in my head before I sing. Never done that. I just know that this goes here, and sometimes I miss it, sometimes I don't. But as a singer, I think that a key between a bad singer and a good singer is that you feel that, okay, I'm on my way to not hit this note. How do I mask this so that it's not out of tune? And how do I mask this so that it's not out of key? What can I do? Like, where do I divert to instead of going here? And a good singer can do that. A bad singer will sing.
And that comes from experience. Just plain experience. Doing it, especially like for you, like during a tour, if you do 20, 30 shows, and then you have some time off, and then you do another tour, and there are songs that you've sung like literally hundreds of times. When you know the music that well, it's pretty easy to, just like you say, like parera, English word. You know, yeah, whatever is coming.
Block.
Yeah.
I was just helping you out there.
Yeah. Um, and experience can come in many different ways. It can come from taking lessons or just doing.
Yeah.
Because, and you know that there's no one way to achieve that kind of experience. But that's pretty interesting. Now, when you it was like at the end of the Amaranth career, you probably had songs that you could sing in your sleep.
Yes. Now I don't even remember how they sound. It's so weird.
But I mean, like, you could probably, since you knew the music, you could probably, I'm assuming, wake up in the middle of the night, get a microphone in your hand, and sing it, and it would probably sound very good. No
Yeah,
warm-up.
probably. Yeah.
Yeah, because you knew the music very well. But
we've got to come to that later. You said warm up. I've never warmed up in my whole life.
Yeah, and you've probably done so many shows. You have done all the warming up you need. But the interesting thing now is like, because you haven't done as many shows with Cyhra as you did with Amaranthe. So like during the first shows, how did you prepare? Other than, I mean, you had obviously recorded the album and all of that, and you fucking wrote it, so you knew the music. Yeah. But how did you prepare vocally? Because once again, I'm assuming like during the end in Amaranth, if there was like, okay, dudes, we have a show in 1 month, you probably had to just like listen to the songs a little bit, checking, oh, what's the lyric there? Ah, good, now we go. But like when you were doing the first shows with Cyhra, how did you prepare?
We do like this. We wrote the first album on different places. We also recorded the album on different places. We went to, I think we recorded in 2 or 3 different places, and we went to New York to record the vocals. We mixed it in Denmark. And yes, some really, none of us were recording more or less at the same place. And we were recording the drums at Top Floor Studios in Gothenburg, and then we did some guitar somewhere and bass somewhere else. So none of us were in the same room, more than myself. And then when the album was done, it sounded nothing like the demos. So, like, okay, let's listen to this. And then we got this tour with whatever band it was, and we rented a theater outside Gothenburg, and we rehearsed there for 2 or 3 days. And that was the only time ever we have been rehearsing. That's the only time that we've been like practicing the songs. And then we just flew. So it was a bit nervous the first show. Like, okay, is this gonna work? And for me myself, coming from a band, I obviously sung in bands where I've been the lead singer before. But with Amaranth, we were 3 guys. So I had like 15 seconds. I had nothing to do for 15 seconds. I could, regain my breath and all that. In Cyhra, everything is this high, and I sing constantly in a really high pitch. So I was just like, am I going to make this? Is this going to be possible to, achieve? So that was nervous, but yeah, so that was what we were doing. And I still get amazed, but when I hear people saying that they're in a band, some kind of semi-professional band, that actually goes to the rehearsal room once or twice a week. I don't understand. How do you have time with that?
I remember the tour when I met Alex first. I was a stand-in on very short notice in this band. The other singer was Pelle K. And he was out of the band, and I had very short time, and we had very short time with rehearsals because I flew to Paris. We played all the songs once, And then we did the first song one more time just to check the intro. And then it was
Okay.
everything into the bus, away, opening for Rhapsody.
That's fantastic.
And that was the first big tour I ever did in my life. So you can imagine, like,
Yeah.
but before you had the rehearsals with everyone, how did you like prepare on your own, or you didn't?
I listen to the songs in the car, but I am not a guy that sings in the car. My wife hates me for that. She says that, everyone else sings in the car, but you're a singer, but you never sing in the car.
It was just the listening part,
Yeah.
learning the music that way. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you,
lyric-wise as well.
yeah. But like
That is usually what I think is the hardest being a singer is to remember. Most of the lyric, they come naturally, right? But I had problems with it even in Amaranth. Like when a song starts, I sometimes start to sing on the wrong verse
yeah.
because you mix them up because they're somewhat similar to each other. So you have to listen to your own music a lot, and that is actually quite disturbing.
Yeah. But I used to think it was weird listening to my own music, but now I don't really anymore. Now because like you say, it's a part of preparation,
Yeah.
and also evaluation. And I also think, now I'm spilling the beans here, but what I did before that tour was I recorded my own versions of all the songs. I took it like into Cubase, and I added like the most massive and lip-stealing keys.
Sorry, Sungen. Absolutely. We need to do. We need to do like Halloween. We need to do like a lip-stealing decrease too.
That was actually like a separate chapter for this jazz. That song, we're analyzing it in detail, but no. But what I did was
Continue. Sorry.
No, it's no worries. I took the songs, I put them into Cubase, added like the most amount of auto tune and compressor that I've ever used in my entire life to make the perfect version.
Yeah.
And those were the versions that I was listening to, and my brain learned to sound like that.
Yeah.
Because if you listen to crappy takes of yourself, that's what your brain will try to produce. So I listened to the perfect versions. I
think that's pretty smart.
Yeah, and I also listened to Janis from Beast in Black. He was also the tour before I was in it. He was filling in the band, so he was very kind. He sent me his versions, but that just made
nice. Yeah, he is such a nice dude.
Yeah, but he's the way he sang it. It was like, okay, I will never ever reach this level.
Okay.
But yeah, we're all different. We don't have to sound the same. But he is a completely different. I remember when a friend of mine were touring with his old band, Until Rain, the Greek band. My friend were touring with him, and he bought an album for me. And he just like walked past me and said, "Listen to this, and get back to me when you listen to him." And I was like, that was the first time I heard him. I was like, today, or like this was a couple of years ago, but it's very rare that I hear a new voice and like really, lose it.
I agree. Last time it happened for me was the guy in Mireth. When I heard Mireth for the first time, it just blew me away.
The sick thing about him? We opened for them in Paris, and I was like, I need to talk with him. I need, I was like, tell me your secrets. And he was like, and I was like, did you grow up with like I was, my weird. I saw him like singing since he was a kid in traditional music, and he said, no, I never done that. I listened to Black Sabbath and Dio all my life. That's all I've been listening to. I said, what all the traditional stuff, all the like the folk music, I had to learn it. But how do you do it? And it was like he said, I'm just gliding in between the notes, and I add so much
Yeah.
vibrato, so it sounds like I'm doing.
Oh, okay.
That was but
Fantastic singer, fantastic dude as well.
Yeah, he's so kind, so very nice. No, it was you played Cyhra with Cyhra on Sweden Rock 2018, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because 2019 was the last year when they did 2 shows in the same day, Myra.
Yeah. But I was there with them. Mirith is great friends of mine. So they played the first thing, and then Cyhra came to me and like, hey, dude, this thing is happening. Like, we're gonna play the big stage, like full commotion. So I was standing on stage, like one of very few people watching the show from the stage side, and they were doing such a fantastic job. And that got me thinking, going into another subject. Festivals should do that more often. They should put a smaller band later at night because, give them enough money to build a show, because that is the only way we could have new Guns N' Roses or Ozzy or whatever.
Yeah, because
and we have to reply to Sungen here. Tommy Karvik is such an amazing dude. He's a great friend of mine as well, and he's also one of these guys that you get a little bit annoyed by because he has so much muscles.
Yeah, it's the muscles too, and the voice, and the looks, and he's a nice guy. And, it's like,
and he used to be a firefighter. I mean, like,
yeah, it's like, what's the dirty secret behind, like, and he was. Now we're talking like old memories, but this was like back in 2007 or something. We were doing a show in Denmark with the band I was in then, and we had the same management as Seventh Wonder, so we were doing a show together. And I remember that was when I listened to Waiting in the Wings before, because I was trying to listen to I've never heard of the band, and that was also like a moment where I was, this is unfair. This is, how can he sounds like he's good looking too. When you hear him sing, if you only hear the voice, you can tell that this guy is a good looking dude.
That was extremely funny said. He sounds like he's a good looking guy.
Yeah, he does. But I also have to mention like the singer they had on the first album, Andy Kravlicek. While we're talking about Seventh Wonder, who is also one of my absolute favorite singers today. Also an amazing dude. But
I've never heard him, so I don't know.
Yeah, he's in Nergard, a Norwegian band too. But I'll send you some stuff later. But all right, so preparation for touring is basically listening to the music. But
yeah.
And you were talking a little bit about another question that I had prepared. The difference, you were, obviously we already talked about it, but the difference between doing Amaranthe long shows, but like short periods of time of singing, and Cyhra, like probably a bit shorter shows, like when you were opening for Sabaton, when you had opening stuff, shorter shows, but intense sets.
Yes.
Did you think about that before, or was it like a realization once it happened?
We were there with Amaranth too. We did a lot of opening slots with Amaranth where we played 45 minutes. And
Yeah.
what I don't like with playing short shows is that I like to bring some feeling into like the talking part, like interact with the audience. I like to like just have a conversation, be funny, give a little bit of myself, and play around with things. But when you play 40 minutes and you have a new album out and you're opening for Sabaton, you have no time. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4 between every song, and then you're just playing, and you're happy if you have enough time after the last song to say thank you, we love you, because then the curtain falls and you're you're off stage. I'm not saying that Sabaton ever treated us badly, but it's like that every time you're playing in front of a bigger band.
The puzzle of the set list, like, okay, if we have this song, we have to let this one go, and then it's this one, to like fill. If you have 45 minutes, you want to play 45 minutes, not 42 and a half.
No, exactly, and also always when you're an opener, you also have to put into consideration that, okay, if something happens with the drums or a string breaks or we need to take 5 minutes, that what's happening then? Which song do we cut? Because you need to know that beforehand, because you cannot stand there looking like complete amateurs. Like, okay, what do you think? Like, that needs to be crystal clear. The show must go on. While if you're headlining, that's a complete other thing. You're just like prolonging the show.
Yeah. But do you have now when you do Cyhra shows, do you have songs that you like fear a little bit more vocally, that you would okay, if we would cut out the song, it would be this one?
Okay, I will be completely honest with you, and you are probably the first person that I ever tell this to. But when I started to write the Cyhra Letters to Myself album, I decided that I felt a little bit diminished in my role as a singer, because like no one ever like knew who I was or what I could do, or my potential as a singer. So I decided to put the bar high and write the hardest songs possible for a singer to do. And one of those songs that are extremely hard is a song called Heart Rage, and it also became one of our like hit songs. So it's a song that we will never ever be able to put out from the set list. But every time in the middle of the set, when I see that song comes up, I'm like, oh my God, fuck. Okay, here we go.
But that's kind of, in a way, it's pretty obvious that there are. There you are again. It's pretty obvious that there are songs that are harder or easier, but also, like you said before, it's not, now there is more pressure on you as a frontman, not only as a singer. Does that affect in any way how you think about your live singing?
No. I correct me if I interpreted your question wrong, but with Amaranth, I was always the frontman anyway. Like when it came to taking the audience, the other vocalists never ever took the audience, talked to the audience, whatever. They were singing. They said, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" But I've always had that role in all my bands, and I care so much about the fans and the audience. I always want to give them something for the money that they paid to see the show. So I always end all shows. I've always done that. I always say, thank you. Without you, we're nothing. Because that is exactly what it is. Rock stars can be rock stars, but they would never be rock stars if they wouldn't have a listening base, right?
Yeah.
So no, that was never a problem for me to taking like there was never that I felt that now I have to take bigger shoes on because now I'm the front man here. No, I never felt that.
All right, that's good. Another thing I was thinking about is, no, I told you also like before these voice chats that I do, I always listen a lot to uh, everything that I can dig up.
Not even myself has listened to everything I've did or done.
But one thing that really impresses me with what you do is, there are a lot of versatile singers out there who can change their voice in a technical way to sound, to make sounds.
Yeah.
But one thing that I really admire in what you're doing is the musicality that you show when you do pretty different kind of music.
Yeah.
Different kinds of music, because you like there, even if there are similarities between the stuff that you do, I mean it's all rock or metal. I mean you can go from sounding like Tom England in a Cyhra ballad to Bon Jovi in a more rockish melodic Amaranth song. And I'm not talking about the sound, but the musicality, the way you phrase, the attack, the how you pronounce the words, like you adapt to the music. And I don't really know where I'm going with this. Maybe the question is like, is it intentional or is it just like going with the flow of the music? I mean, that's a fucking hippie way of saying it, but like how? Yeah, I think that is it intentional.
Let me put it like this: I always try to get the best takes to fit the song, and I never leave anything that I do like, okay, it is what it is. I always try to do my absolute best. And when you're thinking like that, I think that also comes naturally, like how it is. But I don't think of it. I don't think of it as you said. Like now I'm gonna sound like Tom, or now I'm gonna sound like Bon Jovi. I never try to like sound like anyone else, but I absolutely change my voice and the sounds that I make after the feeling of the song. I want to like be connected with how everything else sounds like. And that I think that it also, there's a lot of bands out there that has like a high pitched singer, and that high pitched singer, he knows, or her know, yeah, they know that this is what they can do. And then there's a ballad that has like some strings and some pianos, and the singer is up here singing the whole song, and that just, okay, you're a great singer, but this does not give anything to the song, because it sounds like two different songs that is pushed into one track, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah, totally. And to me, that is, I kind of was like that when I was 20. When you try to prove something, when you like think that range, range isn't really that important. It's what you do with it. Size or range doesn't matter. It's what you do with it. Yeah, like so. Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. Like not trying to imitate a singer, but trying to find what does this song need, and not how can I show off my range in this song.
No, exactly.
Because sorry, go on.
No, I'm just going to say that I don't know if you know who Mark Mangold is. Mark Mangold used to have a band called American Tears and Touch back in the 80s. He used to write what?
A Touch. I've heard Touch.
Yeah, and he used to write songs for Michael Bolton and Cyhra and whatever, and so he knows what he's doing. And I'm just finishing up an album together with him. We're doing like a collab, but he is so good at this, like finding out that, okay, here's the part where we're showing that you're a great singer, like, because here it fits. Like, now you show off like 2-3 bars, like give it all. And I think that is a good way of seeing it, because like vocals is an instrument just like anything else. But obviously you listen to the vocals more. That is what gives the songs its soul, so to say. But I think that is good. Like, if you have it in a dynamic way, where you get those peaks of like, oh my God, this was fantastic, instead of just having, oh, it's fantastic all the time, then it's just going to be like a long bass note in the end, because like you're never going to hear it because it's there all the time.
Yeah, there's no way to go beyond it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the thing of music. It's like sound waves. That it's not a straight line, it's waves.
Yeah.
So the music has to have waves in the bigger picture too. It's so like weird way to put it.
Then we play metal, and then we compress everything so that there's no waves left.
Yes. Can we make everything sound everything louder than everything else, right? Like Motorhead said it. We had talking about that. When I was touring with Motorhead doing pyros, they proved themselves on that, to be honest, because I was standing on stage and I was doing my pyros. They usually used only flames, and Lemmy could come up to me after the show and like, oh, great, you did it. Do it tomorrow. And I asked like the assistant, the guy, whatever his name was, like, what did he mean? Yeah, you did not shoot on the right song. You shoot on another song, and he wanted you to do that tomorrow because it was great. Yeah, okay, but it's impossible to hear when one song ends and another one starts. You're like trying to follow the list, but on stage it was 200 decibels and everything just sounded like. So I did that all the time. I was doing pyros to the wrong songs because like I could not hear what they were doing. Oh, that's probably hilarious. We had a question if we ever heard a Brazilian band called Massacration, and nope.
No, but we will Google it and check it out. Absolutely.
But I have like my nephews. I have 2 nephews who are half Brazilian, so I will take my responsibility as a titio, as an uncle, to check it out. So you did some vocals on 2 of the songs on Timo's album, Do You Make My Birth? And I was thinking now, you have been singing and recording like since 2002, 2003. So we're
maybe
close. So we're closing in on. We're closing in on 20 years. Sorry. We're getting old. But yeah, we're closing in on 20 years. Is there, what would you say are your strengths vocally today compared with when you were like 20?
Control, I would say. I know my voice so much better now than I did when I was 20. When I was 20, I had a hard time keeping up the quality, so to say. I could like completely drain myself, but I was also back then living my dream as, like a musician or rock star or whatever you want to call it. Like I did a show, I drank too much, and I didn't sleep enough, and nowadays it sounds extremely boring, but nowadays when I'm touring, I never drink anything. I hydrate myself a lot and I go to sleep early because that is the only way you could do like a good performance the day after. So now, but control in so many ways, like control over yourself, control over what you can do, what you can't do, and also the technical aspects on things. Because I think that if you're a good singer, you can become a better singer with better equipment. To be honest, because if you have bad in-ears or a bad monitor tech or a bad microphone, you will not be able to, be on 100%. You can only deliver 60. So, sometimes, you say that you don't need the best gear, but for me, I use Sennheiser gear, and that has improved my vocals so much.
Yeah, and like you say, that the hearing part is essential, because if you
Yes.
don't hear yourself, you will start to push and try to sing louder, not better, or when you're, and also like when you have better control and when you have the experience. Once again, I assume, but like at the end of a tour, if your in-ear monitors would stop working, you could probably go on pretty well
Yeah.
to, because you have the experience. But when you're younger and more inexperienced, you have to depend on it a bit more. I'm not saying that one should not use in-ear monitors. I love them. It took a while to get used to it. I remember, but
Two, three shows for me, I think. But then it was like, why have I never done this before? It's like a brand new world. And I think I came up with this now, but I think I could give you a good example. So
yeah,
when you're singing, at least when I sing, I use tons of compression on my in-ears so that I don't have to push my voice so much. And it's like driving a car in low speed. It's easy to steer and you can control yourself. But if you drive in 200 kilometers an hour and you're going on the same course, it's impossible to like save yourself, right? And
yeah,
that is the same thing when you don't hear yourself enough. Because when you're starting to like strain yourself and you're like do everything you can to try to hear what you're doing, it just sounds crap. It's like those quick things on the wheel. I don't know if it's a good comparison, but that is how I feel about it.
I totally get you, and having the compression, that's why when you hear recordings from live stuff, you can tell, well, it sounds pretty good, even though maybe you felt like it didn't sound that good. When you did it, you can hear like afterward, yeah, and that kind of gives me a little bit better self-esteem, because even if I think it's not perfect, I know it will sound good, and
Yeah,
especially if I hear it in here, and if I feel that I'm sounding good, you feel better about yourself,
of
and
course.
that makes me sing better. And that's, sometimes people, since I teach a lot, people ask me about what to eat and how to become a better singer or whatever, and I sometimes joke, because it's not really the truth, but like, what do you eat to become a better singer? Well, for me, it's a pizza and a beer, because if I eat
Yeah.
a pizza and drink a beer, I will feel good,
Yes, exactly.
and if I feel
Uh,
good, if I feel comfortable, I will sing better.
Yeah, I disagree on one thing there on the pizza, though. Chocolate and cheese, I love both of them, but I can't sing when I've eaten them too close to a show, because cheese and chocolate, it gets on my vocal cords, and it gets my singing gets all wobbly.
Yeah,
So I
I
can
believe
never do any of them before a show.
I for me that's not a problem, because I don't really eat chocolate, but
Thank you,
that
Nikan.
Yes, that is very true. I had a teacher that used to say like the singing has to start in the mind, but it has to take a detour around the heart before it exits the mouth.
I guess so.
But yeah, the interesting thing about the we all have those things like I can't sing if I eat chocolate or I need to have my ginger tea or whatever. Do you have like some OCD-ish rituals or things like that you have to do before a show, or that you feel like I avoid this or that other than chocolate?
Yeah, I always drink tea with a lot of honey in it, and I feel incomplete if I haven't had it. So it's always a stressful moment if the things on the rider is not there. Even if you only take one sip, it will calm all my minds just to know that I have it there. I can have it if I want to. Um, but if I don't have it, it's like forgetting your snooze. If you don't have it, you're like, oh, I need to have one, but you probably did not need to have one. But when you don't have it, it stresses you out. And then I also have this thing that I always take a sip from my asthma medication before I go up on stage. For some reason, I believe that it helps opening up. I don't know if it does, but I always do it anyway.
Yeah. Have you ever had like during a show or during a tour, like when you have been
Sorry. So I must tell you about Jake E. Army here. It's David. David is a great friend of mine, but he's also a longtime fan. And the list that I send over to you, the Spotify thing, is from David. And so if anyone ever has any questions about me, which clothes did I wear on the tour 2011, whatever, he knows it. He probably has it as well. He buys everything from eBay. So he's my own Wikipedia.
That's amazing. Like when it's time for the autobiography of the Jake E,
Yes.
he will be the author. Or like
yeah, he will. Yeah, he will at least be the resource for answering the questions, or like Yeah, he knows everything.
Awesome. And now he's here. Awesome. I will, and for everyone who joined in late, I will upload this later when I feel like it.
When I feel like it.
Yes. Where was I? Yeah. Have you ever had like serious voice problems during a show or tour? Not like I kind of but like
Yes, I had. I've had a couple of times, especially in my young. And here's the weird thing. I'm not gonna go into any kind of like pushing anyone into any direction here, but I became a vegetarian like 5-6 years ago, and before that I had tonsillitis like 2-3 times every fucking year. I had big problems with it. I had to take a medication to take away the swelling to be able to sing, cortisone tablets and all that shit, and tons of antibiotics, and you're getting them because you have to perform, right? If you're just having tonsillitis and you're sick, doctors won't give you a shit nowadays, which I think is good. But since I became a vegetarian and I don't eat meat anymore, I haven't had it since, which is pretty weird. But I remember one tour when I was touring with Camelot as a backup singer. It was so terrible. I could barely sing. I could take my drugs and it worked, but then I got an allergic shock to one of the antibiotics that I was given. So I had like measles all over my body. I was like, pimples all over. It was so weird. So that is probably the worst, like singing how do you say it?
That
Yeah,
was more
whatever.
like, but was that more like itching, or was it?
No, it was big, like water-filled bubbles all over my body. I looked like one of these toads.
Oh God! But did it also affect the singing, or yeah? You told me you could barely sing because you were sick, and then you had the antibiotic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hold on. Yes, I am endorsed by Vans. Fantastic brand in many, many ways.
And if anyone from Shore is watching, I would like to. Oh. Or Steinberg, or Neumann, or I will.
This is when I have to tell you that I'm endorsed by all those companies.
Yeah.
And I love them deeply, all of them.
We that's actually, I'm gonna check my watch. We've been on it for an hour, but we have a little bit more time, I think, because there's still people watching us. The difference between I've had students ask me a lot about this, but the difference between when you work in a studio and when you sing live, like when I say that, is there something that comes to mind? Just like, do you work in a different way when you sing in a studio and when you sing live?
In a studio, I would say that it's more about like trial and error. You have all the time in the world to like figure out. Like, I don't think that I'm on a specific level compared to anyone else, but when you're on my level where I am now, there's probably thousands of levels in music. But when I get to the studio, my songs are not done. They are 80, 60, 70% done. And I use the studio time to like, but when, the sound of the drum starts to sound good, then the guitar starts to sound good, then you get the feeling. For example, I never finish any lyrics before I go into the studio. So I start to like mumble around with the lyrics that I have, and then I sit down and like, okay, now I know what this song is about. But while on stage, for me personally, I want the audience to get as close as I humanly can touch of what the album sounds like. I try to be 99% on every tone, every word. I want to give it back. But obviously, of course, it's impossible to be that good. But that is what I try to. And then I see other bands that are way bigger than me that don't give a fuck. And they're just like, don't even sing the right lyrics. They're not on pitch. They're just like, whatever. And I think that is kind of disrespectful. But in the studio, it's more like trying to find what will fit and what will make the song best. The best results. And then on live, it is to like try to capture what you did on the album. Yeah. I don't know if that was a good answer.
Yeah, absolutely. And it kind of makes sense because you, just like me, you have your own studio and you can use the time that you need to figure it out. So like some singers have to do that work at home and, figure things out and like, okay, so this is how it's going to be. And then they go to the studio and they record.
Yeah, but I never record any. I never record any of my own albums here. I always go to Jacob Hansen. All right. Jacob Hansen is a magician. Like, it doesn't matter if I sing the same things here or if I sing the same things at Jacob's place. Jacob will just like make it sound better. Yeah, I am still one of the. I spend all the money I have if I am releasing a Cyhra album. I would never try to record that myself.
But do you do the demo versions?
Yeah, the demo versions I do here, of course. Yes.
Yeah.
And everything
so
else I
what
do, all guest vocals for any bands or whatever I record here. But when it comes to
yeah.
myself, my own stuff, I need it to be a little bit better.
Yeah. But that's also interesting because you need to we all have different needs as singers. Some needs to be encouraged and pushed, like no, like if you have a PT over your head, like you lazy fucking asshole, and some needs to be have it very calm. And for me, it's all about finding those, because I have this studio. We live at an old farm, so this used to be a pigsty. Um, but
Oh,
and I jokingly called it Pigsty Studios on one album, and now it's stuck. So this is Pigsty Studios. Um, but for me, it's like finding those 45 minutes of, all right, now I have time to go to the studio.
yeah,
So for me, if I were to go to an actual studio now, I would have to prepare in a completely different way, because exactly like you said, I can use all the time I like. And if I feel like, nah, I don't want to sing anymore, I just go inside and watch a movie or fall asleep or whatever. But if you're paying money to be in a studio, you have to be prepared. And do you
yeah.
like, so like when you go to Jacob, what are you still like at the 70-80% finished with what you're supposed to do?
Yes, yeah, exactly. And the best thing with Jacob is that he's not one of these, engineers or producers that are pushing you so much in like, I think you can do better. I think you could try this. I think you can do that. He is like, well, we take another take. And when he says that we take another take, that wasn't good enough. So like it works in such a great way between us. Like, okay, he doesn't need to say anything. But just as you said, like the best thing that I've ever done, and I really hope that I could afford to do it again, was when me and Jacob and Jesper, we flew to New York for 3 weeks to lay down the vocals for our debut album.
Yeah.
And we rented a studio, and we had that. We lived in the studio, we recorded in the studio. So some days we started 7 o'clock in the morning and we worked for like 8 hours. Some other days we just looked at each other and like, nope, today we're going to go and do something else. We're going to, get some inspiration and walk around. And that was the best thing that I've ever done. Ever. Like and that is also a part of the creative process, because I have a family. I've got 2 kids and a wife, and everything is great. But when you record something in your own studio, your minds are very closely connected to your family. Like, okay, I need to pick up my kids at that time. My wife is going to go away on some kind of meeting. Like, your head is filled with so many other things. If you do your thing like, okay, now I'm working over here, I can't have the responsibility for what's happening over here, then the end result is going to be so much better. And it's going to be done much quicker.
Yeah, and also once you get home, it's a completely different thing, because then you're able to focus on the family.
Exactly.
Because for me, I think I kind of have it figured out, but for me, so far it's been all right to have either, because sometimes it can become, it's a 8 to 4 or 9 to 5 or whatever, like Dolly said, in the studio, and sometimes it's like, okay, I can just tell my wife like, okay, I'm gonna be out for an hour, because I know I'm just gonna finish this or that, and I know it's a short thing. So far it's been working, but for me it's I mostly nowadays I do session jobs like with choirs and backing vocals, because I do that all day at work, where I work as a choir conductor. So I know how to arrange it, and I know how to write good backing vocal choirs. So, but as you know, that shit takes time to record. Because you don't
Yes.
sing it once and you don't sing it twice. You sing it like, okay, this harmony, I'm going to sing it 8 times.
But here's the thing with harmonies and choirs. When you've figured out like what you're about to sing, it gets easier because to be able to make something big, you are not supposed to be tight. You're not supposed to be in complete pitch. So as long as you just know what to sing, it actually goes pretty fast. The hard part is to make the different, like 3 or 4 stems the best. Like that takes hours and hours. But to sing it takes 10 minutes.
Yeah. I did. I was going to show you, but I did the latest Bloodbound album. I did the backing vocals for that one, and and the thing about what I really appreciated about myself was the ability to very quickly write and learn a harmony, and then very quickly forgetting it when you were doing the next one. But you know, at the end of the day, if you've done a song and you have you figure out a harmony and you sing it 5 times and make it a little bit different in like you say in timing, and you sing one time you sing like this and one time like this and one time like this, you know, to make it big and fat. And when I came back the day after and listened to just to check is everything in tune, you know, it's like, did I sing this? You know, I can't remember this.
No, exactly.
Because you had to forget it, because you had to like really forget it, delete that one, because now it's time to learn another one. And
that is the hardest part when you have when you're doing things, and there's always when you're doing things when you line them up, there's always one note that always sounds like it does not belong. It always sounds wrong. You know, the third or the fifth, like, but it won't sound good until you layer the 2 other harmonies on it, and it's always so hard to sing a note that is not like in the scale, so to say. It is in the scale, but it's so far off the lead melody that it sounds wrong to sing. So you always end up a semi-note above that.
Yeah. And I sometimes, you know, when I do that, you know, when I record stuff like that, I say, how the fuck, you know, I've been singing for 20 years, and when I record, I can't sing, I will be the one to sing at the, you know, and I listen back, it's out of tune every single time. You know, I can't, you know, that's when you know, like, okay, it's time to take a break, like go for a walk or do something else for a little while. But
clean your brain a bit.
Yeah, I forgot what I was supposed to ask. Looking at your discography, you have a very impressive discography. A pretty long list of albums where you have been either a guest or the permanent singer of the band or a writer or whatever. Other than Cyhra, because I'm only assuming that you are working on a 3rd album.
You can assume that as much as you like.
Yeah, I'm the big assumer. Where Evergrey is the big deceiver. No, the great deceiver. No, I don't remember.
The great receiver. The great receiver.
Actually, I love Tom, but I
Me
remember
too.
what you said about you know, with let's have another take. I did one album where Tom was the engineer. Tom and Arnold. I assume you know Arnold too.
In what were their studio called now again?
I don't remember. It was the one that was owned by the American dude.
Yeah, I
Kyle.
remember. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like the first album I recorded in a professional studio. And he was like, probably, for him, it was another day at the office. For me, it was like, I'm here and Tom is listening to what I'm singing. And he was like,
Yeah.
when I, whenever I did a take, it was either nope or next. And I was like, I don't know if this is good or not. I was like, but at the end of the recording, we only did the lead vocals there. Once we were finished, then he was like, amazing, sounded awesome all the way, great. This will be a phenomenal album. But during the recording, it was like all the time either. Nope.
Hey, David.
Hey,
oh, that's
David.
fantastic. But was this Tom or Arnold that said this?
It was Tom.
Okay, because Arnold is a guy that usually don't say much positive things, like if he doesn't need to. But here's the thing with him, because he's the front of house for Cyhra, and when he comes and tells you that this was the best fucking thing that I've ever heard ever, then you take it in and you're like, okay, it was good because Arnold said it was good. This is a guy that I listen to.
Yeah, I remember him being very nice and kind. We were like, I was the youngest. I was probably like just 19 or 20 or something, but he was very kind, and they allowed us to live in that studio because we didn't have enough money, to go back and forth. And
no, exactly. Which band was this with?
Moonlight Agony.
Moonlight Agony. Okay, yeah.
They did 2 albums, one with me and one with Chitral Sompala.
Okay.
Yeah, but we still had money to go to Gothenburg and visit Rockbaren.
Yeah.
But we didn't have money to go back to Kungsbacka and sleep.
Well, that was the days when you were 20 years old. You did never have any money for anything, never, not even food, but beers. You could always buy beers. It amazes me sometimes.
And I still don't know where we got the money for the recording.
Label, maybe?
Yeah. But actually, the funny thing was that the label was bankrupt like 2 years later. So, but this was like, in the like 2007, 8, 9, where people started to download music before. I mean, we still haven't adapted like the music industry really, but when things were really going downhill.
Yeah.
So the labels, because they but yeah, we got money from the label, but we probably spent it on beer. Not Rockbaren.
Yeah, Rockbaren has gotten a lot of musicians' money during the years. Absolutely.
And bands have formed and ended in the toilet.
Every single night, I guess, or assume. Yeah.
Yeah, but I remember you're from Mariestad.
Yes.
Right. You moved to Gothenburg like in the early 2000s. Just to.
I don't remember when I moved here, but I think it was like 2002, something like that.
Yeah.
But I said all my life that I was going to move to Gothenburg because this where the scene was. I mean, there were no one in the city of Mariestad that could help me develop more as a singer, or my band could never, make it from any, like, I needed to be surrounded by people in the business. I also eager to learn more about everything. And I was so happy that Joachim Kahns from Hammerfall, took me under his wings and, mentored me through all of that, and the whole Dreamland phase is all thanks to him. So
He-
I think you need some help sometimes. And back then, when I moved to Gothenburg, everything was happening in the metal business here, but now everything is just scattered out. Like there's no bands that lives here anymore.
yeah. I actually, Joachim Kahns was one of the first metal shows that I attended, in a smaller arena. I grew up here very close to Sweden Rock Festival, so I was standing on the fence watching Alice Cooper, kid. So I've seen it all, but at a very small place, I saw Ed Guy opening for Hammerfall in like
Yeah,
January '99, and it was the evening where their manager Lelle, when he disappeared.
it was in Jönköping, right?
No,
Or was it? It
Sölvesborg.
was so. It was. Oh, it was down. Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
And
they
I
had a show in
actually,
Jön. They had a show in Jönköping the day after. That was how it was. Yeah.
I actually attended that evening, but I was like 13, but I still remember because it was so small. It was like the venue was like my studio.
Okay.
No, not really, but it was really, really small. But I got to see like Joachim Kahns and what is the head
Summit.
guy? Summit, yeah, up close in their youth, and I was standing there, was like, that's a good job.
Was that when you decided to become a singer?
Kind of, because I was a bass player and also like we talked about, a trumpet player, but that was like, this is pretty cool. So Joachim Kahns was also one of my first heroes, but I sometimes try to make up like a punchline, and I forgot to do that about you, about singers. So probably I would say I was going to make like a flourish introduction, but I can make it like a nice ending to this stream. So what we have here, I want to thank Jake E very much for showing up. This is the dude that we would have if Tom Englund and Joachim Kahns had a kid and it was raised by Bon Jovi. This is what we have.
Thank you. That's fantastic.
With a amazing track record and probably a lot of music still unheard.
Yes,
And I want
this year is coming. There's a lot of things coming this year, but no Cyhra yet, though. But I will start to work on some new Cyhra albums soon.
yeah, because we've all had a lot of time on our hands.
Yes, I got hired to be a songwriter. So during Corona, I've been writing songs for others. That's been my full-time job now. So there's going to be a lot of songs with my name on it this year.
That's fun. Is it for, you don't have to spoil anything, but is it for bands, or is it mostly metal, or is it other genres?
Rock and metal bands. Yeah.
Very interesting. So one last short question then. Do you treat the vocal melodies and the vocal parts different when you write for other singers than you do when you write for yourself?
No, that is my biggest problem. I think I co-wrote an album with a Finnish band a couple of years back called Ember Falls, and one of the songs there is one of the best choruses I've ever done. I also wrote a song, or I wrote a chorus for Engel on their latest album, and both those choruses, like whenever I hear them, I'm like, why did I give them away?
Yeah.
So no. I have no filter. I just write whatever is good.
That's awesome. Like no limits.
No limits.
That's probably how it should be.
I think so. I think so. I mean, like I mean, like as a songwriter, you earn money on the streams and the sales that comes after. So you know, if you give away a bad song, all your time has been in vain, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
you want to you want to write good songs for other people so that they can bring some money to the table later on.
Yeah. And every time you write a good song, you learn something.
Of course, of course.
So no limits.
No limits. That's a good tagline for to end this dream, right?
Yeah. And I'd like to thank you once again very much for doing this. It's been very fun. And I also, before we forget, I want to thank every single one who showed up and asked questions or just wrote some encouraging things to us. It's been a pleasure, and I'm very happy. So thank you
Yeah,
once again.
yeah. Same here. Thank you for having me, and thank you for all the comments. Unfortunately, we did not manage to see everything because in the stream you only see like one line of everything that people write here. But it is what it is. Thank you everyone
Yeah.
for for checking in.
Yes. Thank you very, very much. My next guest, I will announce it later for real, but it will be Melissa Bonney from Ad Infinitum. So everyone keep your eyes and ears open and have a good evening, Jake, and have another beer and see ya.
They're non-alcoholic, so yeah, I'm gonna have a couple of them.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye and good
Bye.
night.